Hey everyone, welcome to the Underswell. I'm Derek Sabori. Thanks for being here. Three, two, one, and we're live. Drew, we're live. How you doing, Drew?
All right, doing well. Happy Friday, Derek. How are you?
Oh, happy Friday to you too. That's what I love doing the show on Friday because it's always like it's nice. We're at the end of the week. We're getting ready for the weekend. So I always like to ask, like, what do you got going on for the weekend? You got any big plans?
Well, yeah, I got an off day tomorrow. So I will be playing a little disc golf in the morning. Going to go to the farmer's market and just kind of take the day from there. We're getting a little bit of a cool spell here in Texas. So got to take advantage of that when you can.
Yeah, exactly. I love that you had said that when we were first talking, you said, I've got a quote unquote off day, which led me to believe like you're always working when you're on the ranch.
Well, pretty much. There's always something to do, and daily chores and making sure everyone's fed and happy and water's good, and looking after my horse Gus and the chickens and the goat and the cows here. So yeah, things are always working here, but it's fun.
Well, I'm here today with Drew Keske. He's a manager at the K-Bar Ranch in Texas. Handyman, project foreman, and supporter of sustainability and social entrepreneurship. Now a new title. You're the youngest guest that I've had so far on the Underswell show. So that was previously held by Alex Warnicki. How's that feel? Maybe I'll send you a plaque or some sort of award recognition for that.
That feels good. Yeah, I feel like it's. I get to be in this space where I've had a lot of experiences pretty quickly, and so hopefully that's valuable to some folks. And seeing the folks on your podcast that are further in their career from me also gives me insight as well. So good spot to be in. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you bet. Well, thanks for being here because you've packed a lot in, and I'm really excited to talk to you about your experience, hear your perspective on career building because you're sort of right in the middle of it. So, ready to dive in?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. Drew, you were born in Texas. You grew up in California. You have a degree in sustainability from San Diego State University, SDSU. You've worked in sustainability and on impact projects. In fact, that's where our paths first crossed. Now you find yourself at the K-Bar Ranch. So, I guess my first question is sort of, what's going on out there in Texas? How do you find yourself working at the K-Bar Ranch?
Totally. Yeah. I think it's been kind of a big full circle I've made in life here. I'm doing some cattle ranching here with my dad on this family ranch, K-Bar Ranch here in Texas. So learning a lot about just working with the animals, the stewardship of the land. We've been fixing a lot of fence in this rainy season, moving cattle around, cutting hay. It's pretty neat. It's a really awesome perspective and thing to be doing right now in my life, especially with my passion in regenerative agriculture. I'm really getting to see it hands-on. So it's hot out here. We're definitely doing some hard physical labor some days, but at the end of the day, I really enjoy it, and I know I'll always be grateful for this opportunity to work with my dad too.
I bet. I want to dive into all of that, just sort of, what the work that you're doing, this idea of going back there. You've had experience. I know you worked summers there on the ranch, so it's not totally fresh new, but this idea of being there now full time is new. I want to dig into what it's like working with dad and generational, sort of business working together. But let's start with this. Ranch life, I know, as you've said, it keeps you busy, but we'll talk about how you got there. Besides work right now, though, what's keeping you busy out there in Texas?
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I think I'm just kind of a person who likes to have a lot of things going on. I do slow down sometimes and really cherish that, but I'm always working on side projects too. I've been doing some extra handyman work just because I enjoy helping people out. I've been writing over the last few years, so working on a third volume of some prose there, building web applications for fun. I built a card game, working on a personal website, all kinds of things.
Wow. Tell me about the prose. What are you writing? What are you working on? What is that?
So over my 20s, I just started writing one day. I think I was about 19 or 20, and just kept a running log of it over the years. About 3 years ago, I decided to actually go back and edit it, compile it into something. I've called it Life of Notes. That was volume 1. And then over these last about 3 or 4 years or so, then I've compiled the next one, and actually just got that one done and completed last December. It was my big project over the winter.
Wow.
And so this year I've just been handing it out to friends and family, and shoot, maybe I should send you a copy. See what you think.
Please do. Yeah, if we can, if you want to get it out there, we'll put it in the show notes and share it. If I don't know if it's that much work, or you're just sharing it, keeping it tight for now. But is it sort of kind of a life lessons type of thing, or what you've learned so far? What's in there?
Yeah, a little bit of kind of all of the above. I think, the original concept was just me writing down thoughts and notes and observations through life, whether that was, something I was seeing, something in my personal life or professional life, experiences that I've had, kind of thoughts around philosophy, and then just fun things that I wrote over the years. So it's quite an eclectic mix, I would say. And some people like certain things out of it, but it's been mostly good feedback.
Oh, that's cool. I'm looking forward to seeing it. And then the idea of building a card game, that seems cool as well. That's funny. One of the times I was last down in San Diego, I was at a small little coffee shop, and they were selling this small little deck card game that one of their local customers or a friend or regular had built. And I was like, God, that's so cool. The idea of somebody building a game. So how did that come about, and tell me more about the game?
So it's called Crossroads is the game. I've been big into games like that for a while, like conversation starter games, things that make you think. Holsty is where I got a few, like gratitude cards. And I was just thinking the other day about actually just preparing for this and thinking about how there's so many crossroads that happen in life. And what if there was a game for that, where you could pull cards that this is your situation, and then there's different perspectives to look at that through different lenses. And so you can pull from that deck. And then there's a third deck where other people can see how they can support you in trying to figure out a decision with this crossroads. So we'll see. It's a work in progress, but I think I'm going to make it into a physical, actual card game for the fun of it, and see what people think.
Really cool. Great concept. I love it, which gets me thinking, I'm like, wow, maybe I need to tap you on the shoulder, and we need to make some sort of like an Underswell game show, card show that gets people thinking about career building, the decisions they've made, what happens if you, like you said, go down this road, because so many of us kind of take these jumps and turns in our career. Drew, you told me that I had put out a call for guests. You replied and you said, hey, I've had numerous careers throughout my 20s, somewhat by design, somewhat by luck. You felt like you had a lot of good things to share. I know you do. That can be useful for others. So maybe take me back to the beginning. If we start with your sustainability degree, let's say, what prompted that for you? I want to start maybe there at college. Like, how did you know you wanted to be in sustainability? And then how did that experience go upon graduating? Then what? So take me back to those days.
Yeah, so I came down to San Diego State, actually undeclared. I don't even know if they do that anymore, but I was really grateful for that they took a chance on me. And hopefully I think I provided some value while I was there. I started in entrepreneurship and just could not get accounting under my belt. I figured someone else smarter than me can do that. So I had to take a good long look at myself and go, is that the path I want to go? Where am I finding community? At the time, I had started to be a part of an environmental organization on campus, and I actually ended up becoming the president of that my last year on campus. It was called the Enviro Business Society. It's now part of Green Love through Associated Students there. I realized that's where I was finding a lot of value, a lot of community. I was seeing things be done through that organization. And so at that point, I just said, I'm switching to sustainability. I like the people here. I think it's going to be a valuable thing to know. I don't know if I learned a whole bunch of hard skills per se, and that's okay. I think I learned a lot of soft skills, and that actually translated into the work that we were doing with E3. I mean, we helped ban styrofoam on campus. We got hydration stations going. We built a whole event series around Earth Day and sustainability on campus. We did a lot for our members, for San Diego State, for the community at large. And I think, that was really an awesome experience for me. I think, I learned probably more outside of the classroom, but I did find it valuable to be on campus and be in that community, in that space for sure. Although I had my doubts going through it for sure. I think like maybe everyone does.
Yeah. I love sort of that you had that sort of, that sort of flashpoint moment that I called them when you sort of get something, and whether it was that enviro business kind of class where you're like, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm here for. I love that intersection of sustainability and business. And so I guess my question is, when you graduated and when you're doing things on campus in a student group, that's different than once you get out into the world and you're trying to apply those learnings and you're seeing it firsthand there on the ranch, I'm sure. It's like, how do we take what is an ideal, about where we know we should be going and what we should be doing, to the practicality of it? Did you sort of feel that resistance, or what was that feeling like? Were you still optimistic, or was there a sense of like, oh man, this is going to be harder than I thought?
I think I retain a good amount of optimism in my life, but it's definitely been given a healthy dose of humility and reality over time. I think I'm much more of a realistic optimist these days. But I saw that, we were in a bubble and things were working well. And it was a really great space to be in, to kind of learn things, trial things. I was part of the entrepreneurial programs as well. And so I learned a lot in that, but then getting out into the real world, like you're saying, it's definitely different. A lot less people care. It's a lot more up to you and what you do and where you're going. But I think you do have to maintain some optimism, some hope, and really kind of take this ideal and be more open to what is realistic, what are potential paths and plans I can take, and then you just start putting one foot in front of the other. I mean, it's experience, it's doing the things. That's what I think helps you lead you to a path that maybe you never even anticipated. But it's now the way you're going.
Do you, when you look back at that time, you're graduating with a sustainability degree, or sort of when you make that change and you go from undeclared to deciding what you want to do, I guess, did you know like what you wanted to do when you grew up? Like, what did you think you wanted to do for work? Did you have an idea?
Gosh, no, not really. I did not have a plan. Looking back on it, I wish I had been a little more forward thinking at that time. When I was really young, I wanted to either be a cartoonist or an astronaut. And I think, those things have helped me think about aiming high and also having fun in what you do.
Yes.
But getting out with sustainability, it took me a while. And I think that's been a part of my journey and process over my 20s here. Is there's so many avenues you can take in sustainability that I wanted to try a few out. And that's exactly what I've done.
Yeah, well, let's walk through those. Kind of tell me, what was the first job then getting out of college? Sort of what's the pathway that led you here today?
Yeah, so out of college, quick side note, I did get like really sick for about 6 months right when I graduated. I lived with lupus, and that was pretty intense, and found that out then. For sure, that's what it is. So I kind of had like this time to reflect and read a lot of books and just rest and recover. And I also had bills to pay. So realistically, I had to get a job pretty quick.
Yeah. Drew, can I ask I don't know much about lupus. I've heard of it, but I don't know much. Can you give us any, the insight behind it or details of?
Yeah. It's an autoimmune disease. I don't think it'll ever fully go away in my life. And it used to be, I think, a lot worse for people just even a few generations ago. It can be experienced in quite a few different ways for people. For me, what happens is my joints swell up all throughout my body. They kind of just get these big deposits. It's painful to move. I kind of just become really stiff, almost like a Frankenstein. And that recovery is long. The drugs are intense. I have to go basically like eat as clean as I can, really prioritize sleep and rest. Got to walk when I can, but I have never had so much Tylenol and Advil in my life.
Jeez. Yeah. So you go through, so that puts you out. I mean, that particular bout with it puts you out for 6 months, you said, and then you said, then it's time to go start paying bills, as you said. What do you do?
I was very fortunate to get a job with classy.org, which has now been acquired by GoFundMe. I was on their sales team for a year. So cold calling, it was a lot of inbound, thank goodness. I think a big thing there was, one, I got the People's Choice Award. I think I really nailed it on just being awesome at being a part of the team. and leading in that capacity. Everyone enjoyed working with me, not only externally, but also on our sales floor and within our SDR team. That was a lot of grit there to do that job well. And then COVID hit at kind of near the tail end of that. And I just thought, I don't quite want to do this for the foreseeable future. So ended up taking a road trip and ended out in Utah, and then came back to Texas here, was working on the ranch over the winter. And then I came back when I got into farming. So I figured when I rolled back here, Classy gave me this opportunity to look at nonprofits in a very big way and all these different cost sectors and what sustainability looks like there. So I kept coming back to regenerative agriculture, the Savory Institute, places like that. And I saw that the Ecology Center there in San Juan Capistrano was taking on some apprentices, and a great mentor of mine, Jonathan Zaidman, works there. And, I ended up getting into that. Absolutely loved it. I was there for about a year and a half or so, and rose through apprentice to basically managing and running the entire market garden, which is all hand scale vegetables, fruits, flowers, herbs, spices, a little bit of the orcharding. So that was, and
maybe
great.
For anybody that doesn't know, the Ecology Center down in San Juan Capistrano here in Southern California, it's this great organic farm with a sustainability learning center on it. It's like a community space. There's a restaurant on there now. I've known Evan Marks for many years. I was part of the team that was part of the first donors to it, which was great. So we did groundbreaking with it, but it has evolved into this amazing space with all these great events, a green feast, and all other things, right? So what a great team to be a part of, and a great experience. I'm sure you learned a lot, as you said.
Yeah, definitely. I think, I learned not only just about farming, but seeing the growth that they went through, and leadership there was really supportive of my journey and my experiences. And, ultimately, kind of really the only main reason I left that was that I knew a good buddy of mine, Zach, was a better farmer than I was, and that he was going to be coming back. So I figured I paved the way as best I could, and
there you go.
Let him take it over from there.
That's cool. And so from there, so now you're on to the next thing, which is,
for some reason in between jobs, I'd love to go on road trips. So I went up to Washington and back for the fun of it. Saw some friends and family, really enjoyed the Pacific Northwest, and came back down actually to San Juan Capistrano, started working in business operations and event management for the next about year and a half or so of my life. That was a great experience. I learned a lot about what it takes to operate and manage a small business, from, all the not so fun stuff, legal and compliance, HR, all the back end work, payroll, things like that, to kind of the fun stuff and like what it means to work with a very small agile team, across design and marketing and sales, and, working with the executives as well, and the founders too. So that was great. We were given the reins and given the opportunity to learn a lot and fail forward, which I'm very appreciative of, because going into that, I was not super well versed in business operations. Of course, I'm always learning and doing my homework and getting certifications and taking courses when I can, yours included. So that gave me a lot of perspective there, and what they were doing, I think, is really neat too. It was a publication and events around sustainability all the time, and working with some big names and big brands. I don't know if I can mention any, but
is this when you were with the team at with the Momentum?
Yes,
right.
Yeah. And then that's where we had met, because we were putting together that event series, and
that's right.
You came to do the workshop, and gosh, that was, I think that was one of the highlights of my career for sure. So far, wow. I really enjoyed putting that together and working with everyone, and being able to do that whole thing kind of solo, I guess, with some support.
Yeah, it was a great event, and thanks. I was glad to be a part of it. And thanks, for afterwards you reached out. You went through my School of Understanding course. So I do know, I see that. I mean, you've got you're stacking all these certificates. You've got your always learning, it looks like, always trying to advance and move things along. I want to ask, with these jobs that you've had so far, how did these come about? Were these, because I think people are always sort of looking to like, well, how do I get that job? How do I get that? How do I get it classy.org or wherever? Were these through connections? Were they cold calls? Give me some insight here.
Yeah. I would say a lot of the jobs I've had, it's kind of been one or the other. And the first has been just hustling and really doing well at getting in front of the right person, following up well, being authentic with that. And then when you get to an interview, if you're lucky enough to get to an interview, the job market is crazy these days. You really got to be yourself, and you got to be prepared and show them why you are the best and why you want this. And, easier said than done. But I think having those people person skills in my corner has always been really helpful, and then I get the job, and then I do more than what's asked. So I think they get the value out of that. The other half is really, it has been knowing the right people. I've talked to a lot of my friends recently, and most of the companies that they're at almost exclusively do referral hires.
Yeah.
So you got to know people, got to be networking and making friends and connections, and because it can be draining when you've applied to over 100 places, and every job you look at, there's 100 plus people that have applied to it already.
Especially when you've got the degree, you've got experience, you're qualified, and you're just feeling frustrated, just going, why is this not clicking? What's sort of for you your hack to, because I know people can be either intimidated by or sort of turned off by networking and being social, that I'm an introvert, no, that's not my thing, or it just feels weird to be networking. But a reminder is, we're always selling something. We're always selling ourselves or promoting ourselves, or we rely on each other to kind of make the connections. And so that is part of the hard work, is making the connection to get you the job. It's not a cheat. So do you have any hacks, or how do you approach it?
Yeah. I mean, I love that perspective, and thanks for that. I think another big piece of it is doing what you can to be creative. There's many ways to stand out. And one thing that I've been working on, and it's kind of just been a personal thing for me, but I think it'll help me professionally, is building out a website where I can showcase really well who I am beyond a resume. I can showcase projects I've done. You can see pictures of things that, I'm doing and have done in my life. And it gives a bigger picture of who I am as a person and why I could potentially be a good fit.
Yeah.
I think we really got to be looking at this as, what can I do that makes me stand out, and how can I do that creatively? And if you're not so much of a people person, I get that. I would consider myself an omnivore. I can turn it on, and I really enjoy my own time.
Yes, yeah.
But so in that, I thought, how can I be creative? How can I think differently about this? If I'm doing what everyone else is doing, that's probably why I'm not getting anywhere. I'm not getting any traction. So, and shoot, I mean, AI's here to help. You can ask a lot of good questions there.
No kidding.
And get some ideas and insights for sure.
And the website, so is the website just sort of your name as a URL, just drewkeske.com kind of thing?
It's drewski.com, which is my nickname, but I do own Drew Keske as well, which I think is a little more professional. They'll both be the same website.
Yeah, and I think it's a good reminder, though, that to secure your URL for your name, same thing. I did mine as well, and you're right, everybody should do it. And I think I'm even thinking for you, there's an opportunity, when you go to your menu options, there's an option, for writings, things I've developed, other things, because it paints that fuller picture than just what you're going to see on LinkedIn, which is why, I do these professional podcast profiles, much for that reason. I want to bring people's personality and character to life, and not just, see the things that you've done. There's so much more to us than those things, right? There's all the stuff in between. That's cool. Good advice. I guess so from there. So now you're working in sustainability. Then you're at the Momentum. You're working with those guys, and I would imagine you're just kind of getting deeper into the sustainability space. You're feeling good. Does that last though? Where do we go from there?
Yeah, from there, I had a moment where I wanted to get back into the nonprofit side of things. I wanted to try my hand at development, kind of put all these pieces together. of what I had learned so far and what I felt I was good at. So I did development for a year with Solana Center there in Encinitas. A big thing there was really building a lot of the systems, being able to learn how to work with kind of what the legacy was in place, as well as build new things for them to kind of get up to speed, working with the executive director and those large donors was great experience for me. And our big thing was that organization has been around for, I think, now 41, 42 years. So we had our big 40th year anniversary, and that was something I spearheaded to pretty good success. I'd been a part of big events like that before, but this was my first time really being the point person for all the things involved, for what that takes. And with a quick runway, we did really well. We sold out all our tickets and got a lot of great feedback, and probably got too many things donated to us in kind, but that's okay. I think our staff really enjoyed all the extra beverages that we got at the end.
No kidding. I'm looking, kind of at your resume, and because it seems from there, so that is about another year as well, and you're stacking these skills, you're getting these experiences, and maybe I guess is just a good time, to ask, like, along the way for you, has there been sort of like a standout moment or a big realization that you've had, or a big challenge, that you've seen professionally, where you're just like, I guess, what kind of moments have you had where you're just really processing on things?
Yeah, I like that. I mean, I think a big part is that it's about once a year, as you could see so far in my work history, that I really take a step back and assess what I'm doing, the organization I'm with. Is this aligning with the life I'm looking to live and the skills I'm looking to build? And I would say, each time it's been, I've taken the idea of my 20s to maybe hop around a little too much in some people's eyes, and I'm okay with that because this is my life and this is the way I want to do it. It's been a little bit by luck, but a little bit by design. And, I wanted to really build a foundation of skills where, I've gone wide throughout my 20s, and then looking into my 30s, now I'm going deep on things. And per se, I don't have 5 years of specific experience in anything. I'm okay with that because I'm really a generalist person at heart. And I think there's, in an age of specialization, I think there's something to being kind of that more generalist person. Those are the spaces I like to be in, where it's a little more small team. Maybe it's a startup, a little more entrepreneurial in what's expected of you. That's where I thrive. So I think that's what's been helping me see these steps as something that is working towards something. It's not all just willy-nilly.
Well, I love that. I mean, you're speaking to the generalist in chief over here. Like, I find myself, like, as the hyper generalist. I'm always like, oh my gosh, what have I done here? Because I position myself as a generalist, which I think is good. I think there's a lot of benefit to that. But somebody like you, it seems, Drew, that you are just, kind of committed to evolution and learning and improving and sort of taking what you do and learning. My guest last week, Rachel Hoysenstam, she had said that she really thought that the best people that she sees in organizations as a leader are the ones who ask questions and who are curious and want to keep learning, and not just like show up and do the work, but or who can be trusted to go into the next role or the next project asking questions and wanting to learn and get to the bottom of it so that they can really serve and solve problems. Sounds like, I feel like you fit into that mold.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. And I agree with her. I mean, she's probably had more experience in seeing a lot more people throughout her professional life. But, I think that just courage to ask questions and keep learning and maintain. I've been able to maintain a lot of humility by continually kind of starting over in a sense, or always being at the bottom. And I think, that's something that directly translates into, if you do then stick with something and you start to build that foundation, you are trusted into more leadership positions because you started from the bottom. You know what it's like to not have the most glamorous thing going on.
Man, that's a really good point. And I think that is, I look at this in two ways. One, I think we can do the best work, especially when it comes to sustainability, when we understand the business fully, like from top to bottom, from the bottom up. When you've worked all the different jobs and the roles, you can really start to go, I know where I can plug in and help. I also look at this sort of intentional career building that you're doing, where you're sort of taking a wider breadth of things and trying different things. It's almost like we try to, encourage young people to do in college, okay, go to community college and figure it out. Take all the different courses. It feels like that's the kind of buffet approach you're taking to your young career. It seems it seems a bit intentional, but like you said, sometimes it's luck, sometimes it's by design. But is that sort of the approach? And it sounds like you're getting ready though to zero in, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I think I'm at the tail end of all this, going wide and, now finding what's my focus as I look to my 30s and beyond. And, I think just to kind of round out even just like the career of getting back to here is, 2 years, I took a big leap of faith and sold everything I own except for what fit in my vehicle and moved across the country for a job in Asheville, North Carolina.
That's right.
I had great timing there and got there the day before Hurricane Helene hit, and I'm thankful to be alive. It was very devastating for the entire community in the area, but my job and my place to stay washed away. I mean, I knew no one. I had nothing. I mean, I had to really figure it out on the fly. And if anyone still wants to help, Mana Food Bank there was where I was hopefully going to work, and they're still doing great work to help support hunger relief there in the area. The area is still in need of support, and always hold a space in my heart and my mind. But I took that experience and had to. I mean, when your entire plan gets derailed and you don't know anyone or anything, you got to think quickly and just do what it takes to make it happen. So
yeah, what'd you do?
Moved to Raleigh in a week, found a place to stay. I was serving tables and pizzas and beer for a month. And within that month, I then found a full-time job. And, again, I think that was me putting myself out there. I was going to co-working spaces, networking hard, really networking hard to find something.
And again, starting at zero, working your way up kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because no one. I mean, I was helping out with Raleigh Founded there. It's an awesome co-working space. Just saying I'll do whatever to help out, and I just want to get to know people and be a part of these events. And and then I got a hold of the awesome guys that serve Raleigh, and they were just starting year 2 of a startup there, handyman odd job service, and I came on as their foreman. A big highlight there was, not knowing that line of work, taking a sustainability lens into what we were doing and just overhauling our operations, getting the opportunity to lead our part-time workers and these younger guys and lead by example and help them become better versions of themselves, knowing that they're probably not going to be staying in that position or with that company for too long. That's just the name of that line of work and who we were trying to hire. And then I did that for a solid 6 months before driving back here. So a wild year of life for sure.
Yes, no kidding. And so now, do you drive back from North Carolina and you end up in Texas? That takes us there.
I knew circle. I wanted to come back here, kind of round out that circle and really give it a try here with what I'm doing with my dad. He's always been so supportive, and my mom too, and just really just dive into it with him. Just have some good fun work days together, and get to see what he does on a day-to-day basis, and a much more focused perspective.
Well, Drew, let's take a quick break. We'll come back. I want to talk a little bit about that, on what the experience has been like working with your dad, because I know that can sometimes be I've heard it can either be the best thing, it can be really tough. Sounds like it's going good. I also want to know from you, sort of what it's like, you're at 30, you're in the early middle part of your career. So I want to kind of get an idea of where your head's at, and then also find out what's been driving you, because you could have easily packed it up out of Raleigh and just said, you know what, never mind, I'm coming home. Something in you, though, I'm really interested. I call it the underswell. Like, what's your undercurrent? What's that thing that powers you? So hang tight. We'll come back and we'll go through all those things, and I'll get some advice from you as well. So see you in a minute. Talking with professionals like my guest today is always inspiring, and a reminder that more of us need foundational sustainability knowledge so we can help our brands and companies continue to grow and profit in the most sustainable way. What do you think? Does your team have the confidence and competence to work in and contribute to this exciting space? I often find that the answer is, well, not yet. That's why, after more than a decade deep in the sustainability profession, I developed a set of courses and trainings to do just that. The School of Understanding is a self-paced online sustainability course made for professionals and brands who want to catch up and keep up with the expectations of today's marketplace. If you're not fluent in the language of sustainability yet, you're falling behind. So let's fix that. Enroll yourself or your team now and get caught up in the exciting opportunities that are being created in sustainable and profitable business. Drew, right before the break, you had talked to us. We went through all your different experiences. You're out in North Carolina. You've got to bounce back and figure things out after Hurricane Helene. Kind of destroys your dreams and plans, hopes and plans and dreams. You get back to the ranch to come work with your dad. So I guess, let's see, how can I combine this? You're about to turn 30. If you haven't already, I think your birthday was coming up soon.
Coming up.
Coming up. So tell me a little bit about being 30. You're going into 30. You're right about middle point of your career. You're at the ranch. Where's your head at these days, and what's influencing you? Give me all the things, right? Because we've got AI to deal with. We've got changing job markets. We've got all this stuff. You've got the family business. This is probably an interesting time for you. So walk me through it.
It is. Yeah. I think I'm in quite a interesting spot in my life, a unique position to be in. First off, I'm just grateful for the opportunities I have. When I look ahead and look at my 30s, about to be there, looking at my career holistically, I keep trying to keep the end game in mind. But a big thing is, I've done a lot of things like we've talked about. So I'm looking to how can I now focus in all this experience I have. I feel like I have a pretty solid understanding now that I'm confident in my skill set. I know what I'm good at. I know what kind of teams I like to be on, the work I like to do. I've become a lot more just confident and competent. And at large, I'm also looking at AI like we're talking about. I mean, I think it's such a big thing. It's definitely not going anywhere. And right. I think, you have to learn to work with it. I think, yes, it's going to be replacing a lot of jobs, and that's going to be a transition for economies all over the world that we have to keep in mind. And how can someone like you or I start working with it as a tool? It's supposed to help us. So I've been leaning into that pretty heavily just to kind of see where that takes me as far as the projects I'm working on. Leaning into my creativity with all these other things, and kind of this idea of like, how am I bringing my social entrepreneurial skills to the table for organizations? A big thing for me is community as well. I've been grateful to build a lot of community and be a part of some pretty deep communities, especially there in San Diego, Green Drink San Diego, the B Corps there, a few others that come to mind. So that's a big thing I'm looking at. Where are we finding our community, and how are we helping build it too and be a part of it? And really kind of this long-term game of like, success for me is not a destination. It's the work, it's the process, it's what do I get to do every day. And I'm fortunate to have options and to be in this space where I can be here, working with my dad and see how that's been leading me into certain things and avenues, and being able to take a step back from, I guess, just kind of the hustle that I've known for most of my 20s. And I mean, just working out on the ranch, I look out and, see a big open space and expanse and wildlife, and see how nature is we're just such a a tiny part of it, it gives you a perspective of like, okay, like, yes, do something useful, but also, at the end of the day, like, don't take it so over seriously that you're not having some fun or enjoying life as well. So that's what's focusing for me. So I'm not sure what's next, I guess is really the answer there. But I think leaning into my creativity, focusing in on what I'm doing well. One of the founders of Classy.org, Scott Chisholm, he runs an awesome organization called Highland. They use this thing called the North Star operating system. It's basically like a vision board for your company, so you understand your purpose, direction, and progress. I actually took that and used it for my own life, professionally and personally.
There we go.
And it's been very valuable. I think, you go through your mission, your values, your vision over the next like 3, 5, 10, 20 years. And then you just set a very few specific goals and what those outcomes would look like. So that's been helpful for me as someone who finds it difficult to focus at times.
That's good to know. Good resource.
So I think that, that's what keeps me looking long term and knowing what steps to take now towards that.
Yeah, that's great. And what do you have? Any tips or advice for those of us getting into business with our family?
Yeah. Let me think. I think one thing is learning to communicate well. My dad and I communicate very well. I feel like, we have different perspectives on things, and, he's been doing this for a long time and, grew up doing this. And, I come in with all this, what my generation loves to look at, and it's regenerative agriculture and it's, the trend and all those things. And it's like, yes, okay, so that's the ideal. Again, I think like we talked about, here's the ideal, and I'm learning about all that, and here's the reality of things. And, I think we have great conversations about like, okay, so how do those two things come together? I mean, sure, we'd love to do those things, but does it make business sense? Where do you start? What's one thing we could do this year that we can trial? And is it going to work out? You don't know, especially I think in this line of work.
Right.
So I think it's context adjacent that you need to, be able to communicate well and talk about things. I think a big thing for me is just really reminding myself that it's a gift of an opportunity that we get to do this together. And for me, as the younger person in the room, that, I have a lot to learn and to lead with that humility as well. He's teaching me every day and giving me opportunities to, make sure that I know what I'm talking about or know what I'm doing.
I love, so what I'm hearing is to be humble, be grateful, and compromise and communicate.
Yes.
So if you can get all those things under wraps, and then perhaps you could be good.
Perhaps. I got some friends that are in this space too, and have taken that leap back into family businesses. And so, when we chat, I'm hearing kind of similar ideas that, communication is so big, and learning how to compromise and work together. And, at the end of the day, this is someone in your family and you care about them. So you got to keep that in mind when maybe you have a difference of opinion.
Well, and that advice can probably, be applied to any workplace, to working with a team in general, working with other humans. Like, imagine if we treated everybody with that same level of respect, maybe things could be good.
Oh, that'd be great. Yes.
Right?
Lead with compassion.
Lead with compassion. Drew, and maybe that leads me then to my next question, and maybe that's part of your answer, I guess. That's, kind of projecting, but, for you, what's your underswell? For you, what's underneath it? What drives you? What's been powering you all along the way? What's that North Star that's underneath the surface that we might not see every day that's really getting you to where are you going?
Yeah. Gosh, I really love that question. And it makes me think that I got to go back through all your episodes and see what everyone else's was too. Cause now I'm very curious. I think for me, I just have this like insatiable desire to just like positively impact people, and the planet. And, I think that is my underswell, but that has become my underswell. The why behind that is, the support of my friends and family, knowing that health is a gift and having that understanding that it can be taken away really quickly. We're all suffering from something. So having that compassion has come into play, kind of always wanting to be learning, making the most out of this life and trying to live a virtuous life. I want to get to the end of my days and go, that was a good one. I think that worked.
Oh, I love it.
Maybe other people will say the same.
No, everybody's got kind of a different take, and that's I really like the way you put that. I think that's it's beautiful. It's really nice, and I think it's a good. All of us approach it differently, and I just think it's important to, like you did. You say one thing, then it's like, yeah, but why that? We kind of keep drilling down, and we get to that root. And I really like this idea of like, that was a good one. It's great. Let's give some advice to young people. You've been in the full-time job market now for more than 10 years. So for those that were maybe where you were 10 years ago, they're recently graduating from school, maybe they're looking to transition into a new role or a new job. You've given some good, I guess, some advice on soft skills and things that people need. But what do you think people need to know? What sage advice now as a 30-year-old do you have for younger people? Sets of skills. What do you want them to know?
There's a lot of things that I think come to mind, and gosh, I was trying to write down a succinct list for you earlier, so I wouldn't take up a whole bunch of time. But I think some actionable things for people that are in their 20s, or maybe even beyond that, just thinking about things differently, going for a change. I think what's worked well for me is always following curiosity and creativity. I've always done well to be prepared, work hard, and then work smart when I can. That comes with the humility. You learn how to work smart by working hard first. You make mistakes and then you learn and keep going. A big thing I think is the reality and the ideal alignment that we've talked about. That means you're staying open to these options. You're trying a few different things. I think that's very valuable. Gosh, I have a buddy who studied computer engineering for years and now he's an electrician. You never know what's going to happen, and he loves that. So I think that's a big thing. Those things are worth the risk. I think especially when you're young, you have the opportunity to fail forward, learn a lot of things, and hopefully you have some people around you, maybe some mentors. I call it my personal board of directors that I can lean on.
Love that. Yes.
That's something to build for sure.
Do you have them on your website? You need to have a section on your website for your personal board of directors.
Maybe I should put it on there. Cool. I'll ask them first, though, if they want to be on there.
Go. Yeah, get the permission.
But I'll give the template.
Yes.
I think other than that, it's, always be learning. You got to do what it takes, but remember to have fun, build things that are valuable and creative, and, learn how to tell a story. I think storytelling is a big piece of it too. If you don't know how to tell a story, you're always going to be stuck in trying to figure out what is going on, maybe with yourself or being able to explain what you're doing to someone else too. And it's easier said than done.
I wonder with all those things that you just listed, so many good ones in there, how do you tie this back to college for me? Like, I know a lot of young people, I think, are struggling with, should I go to college? Is it right for me? It's so expensive. There's a lot we can read now like that. I think the whole vibe is sort of changing or going through some challenges. I think there's more friction than ever. So I'm always curious to know, what of this came from your college experience of any of it? And do you have advice for young people who are like, I don't know if it's for me? What would you say to them?
Looking at college, I think these days, I agree with you, it's shifted in what is the idea, what's the value of it. I'm sure even more than I was at that time, people are questioning, why would I go? I think what's happening is that there's a lot of different avenues you can take, and that's becoming a lot more acceptable. It's also, I think it's evening the playing field for a lot of people where you don't have to go to college to learn the things you want to learn. It's a tougher road, I think. You don't get as much support. Still, there's definitely a lot of employers that want to see that. But I also think you have the opportunity to showcase who you are, learn what you want. You can, I think, learn pretty much anything online these days, and especially with AI coming into it. Think about trade schools, blue-collar work. That line of work is probably going to be very secure if that's what you're looking for nowadays. It's such valuable work. you got to have a lot of respect for people who go through that. They make good money. They do something that you definitely can't do.
Right.
And it's providing a service that's very valuable to the economy, to society, to your community, and the people around them. So, I would say, of course, you're going to doubt those things. Just think about it. Give yourself a few options. Again, if you got a board of directors on your side, lean in on these people that you can come to. But I do think there's a lot of ways to take a few small experiments and kind of see where that leads you into things. Someone like me, you can always be learning as well. If you go and get a degree and it's not what you end up doing, that happens all the time.
All the time.
So you can go learn something else after that, and build on the skill set. So I think there's this like overhanging idea that it's like, oh my gosh, do I do it or not? And it's like, if you have the opportunity and it's not going to put you back too much and you think you got something going on there, I say go for it. If it's going to be quite a burden for you financially, time-wise, you're not really seeing the value, try some different avenues. There's a whole bunch of certificates and courses out there. Community college is awesome. There's so many other ways to figure out not only what you want to do, but how to make a living in life. And
that's the big task. I mean, that's the big thing to keep in mind. And I know that's tough. Like this idea of how to make a living in life. And I think, for me as a 50-something-year-old, it's one thing to how to make a living when you're young. But then for most of us, how do we make a living all the way through life? It's like if you're working, hopefully you've done a good job saving, retire. Think about retirement now. So start, saving, investing, putting stuff away because it happens, it comes. But yeah, that challenge is just like how to make a living. Drew, I want to ask you, sort of as we start to get close to wrapping it up here, what have you learned about yourself through all of this? I can make some projections because as I listen to you, I'm like, I bet you, but I want to hear from you. What do you think you've learned about yourself?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'm curious to hear your thoughts too, but, I think some of the big things I've learned about myself is that, confidence comes through doing the work, just showing up. If you show up every day and, I've been a big believer in if you're the first person there and the last one out every day, that just shows a lot of grit in who you are. And it might suck for a while, but it's definitely worth it. I've done that in pretty much every job I've been in. And that's never been a disservice to me. So I feel like I've learned that confidence, that competence comes from, I guess, just, showing up every day. Really, I think that's a big thing for my generation. It's hard to do.
Yes. Okay.
So I cannot stress that enough. That puts you in the top 10% probably from there. And you're going to beat a lot of people with talent if you just have that consistency and just keep showing up. And coming from someone who's jumped ship almost every year of his life, it's not been because I'm just ready to move on. That was by design, but I can stick through things. I think, another thing was just like, I've leaned into how can I work smart after that? Cause that's working hard. That's showing up, doing the work. And, I think another thing I've learned about myself is that, it's been really helpful that I do have these soft skills and these people skills and I enjoy talking to people, I think, just like you do. And, we have something to learn from everyone. And I've learned I can read a lot. I've read a few hundred books over these last few years of my life. So that's always helpful.
Yeah. Are those, you mentioned soft skills. What are the soft skills that you want young people to have these days or to pay attention to? What do you see out there? What's important for them?
I think that just kind of that resilience, I think that just having the courage to take some risks, ask some questions, that curiosity, having that compassion is such a great people skill, knowing that we're all going through something, being able to be there, having creativity, that grit and determination. A big one, I think, for me as well is this concept of engaged detachment or engaged unattachment. And it's that for me is that I'm putting in the work, but I am not attached specifically to an outcome. Because I used to, in my early 20s, be pretty idealistic and say, this is how I want things to turn out in this very specific way. And this is what I need to do to get there. Mm-hmm. And it never really happened that way. So I found that a really great thing is that you're detached to an outcome, but you're engaged in the process. And you have to then be open to what doors open from there. Where do you go when you're putting in the work? That's going to change your direction. That's going to change your perceived destination. And you got to be willing to follow it and kind of meet it halfway. Because if you're putting in the work halfway, doors will start opening up halfway towards you too.
Wow.
It might not look like it. It might not be exactly what you thought. Yeah. But they'll open.
Drew, I think once we have this recorded, you're going to have to take that and put that into your prose book. That's a good one. That's a good reminder. And it's really, really good with that visual there as well. Let's wrap this up then, Drew, with just sort of, you've put together some really good advice that's kind of sprinkled throughout here. And just these last few things that you said were really good. But I had given you sort of like, hey, do you have 3 things to keep in mind that you wanted to, have people keep in mind as they go through life? What are your 3 things? You probably already said them, but let's do a repeat. Let's summarize it for them.
Gosh, okay, let me think for a second. I would say if I had to boil it down, kind of my top 3 things right now would be know what it means to do what it takes. Remember to have fun. Remember to take care of yourself.
Solid. Drew, that's great. Let's close it out with this. Open mic. I gave you the last opportunity in case there's anything that we missed throughout the talk. It's an opportunity for what I call shout outs or call outs. Maybe you've got some recommendations. You've read so many books. Maybe it's book recommendations, a movie. You want to thank somebody or just give a rant on something. The open mic is yours for the last minute here. So I hand it over to you to close us out. Take it away.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, I won't rant on anything, but I've been known to do that pretty well. I do want to reiterate just, if you look up Scott Chisholm, North Star Operating System through Highland, I think that's just a very valuable resource for basically a vision board. Just some shout outs and thank yous to my friends and my family, my mentors and board of directors. These people, my community at large, really, a lot of people have helped me in a lot of ways that maybe they don't even know they did. So thank you for that. Apologies to anyone who I've accidentally hurt along the way. And shameless plug is if you'd like to just chat with me or learn more or see what I'm doing, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. You can find all my info there. This website that I'm building, hang tight. There's a lot of good stuff there on health, wealth, relationships, fun projects, things like that. I think this is a big moment where it might be pretty helpful for folks. Other than that, I got 100+ book recommendations, so I'll save that one for another time.
Well, if you've got any, we'll put all of this in the show notes. I'll get all the links from you for whatever you've got that you want to put in there. We'll put it in the show notes. But Drew, I can't thank you enough. What a really interesting, it's been really interesting hearing about your journey, all that you've been through, that you're going through, and I'm just excited for the next part of it all. You're just at that sort of halfway point. So I look back at my time at that age, I'm like, man, there's still so much ahead and you're going to do some awesome things. So thank you for sharing it all with us. And other than that, have a great Friday. Have a great weekend out there on the ranch.
Of course. Yeah. Thank you, Derek. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Drew. Hey, everyone. Thanks for checking out the show. If you like what you heard, be sure to check back weekly, subscribe to the show. And if you want to be featured on the show, come hit us up at theunderswell.com. We'd love to hear from you.